Hey, what's going on? All right, back again. We got some questions to tackle today. All right, first question. How to deal with overcoming a lot of negative feedback on their first release. So they released something, got a lot of negative feedback. The person even thought some of the negative things about it to themselves when they were reading it. This was a book, by the way. And they're finding it hard to become motivated to continue to write. And so first off, getting negative feedback and releasing the first of anything, depending on who you're getting feedback from, if you have a group of writers that are all highly critical and successful, giving you a whole bunch of negative feedback, that's one thing. If you just got a lot of fans giving you negative feedback, or people that aren't even in the industry, that's another thing. But then if you just have a lot of people just giving you a bunch of negative feedback, it's really hard to think about too much negative feedback unless you already had some of those thoughts yourself, like you stated. So that lets me think that maybe you do have a couple glaring things that you just had to get out there, and you saw it and you wanted to see if other people realized it. And now that might give you a little bit more confidence to trust your gut further in the future. I definitely think getting negative feedback is not an indication to stop writing at all, or to stop anything that you're doing. It's only something that you can just see, did you think some of those thoughts yourself? And if you do, that gives you a little bit more things to change in the future. That's all it is. Negative feedback is just changes, but really you have to be the deciding factor of the change. And if those are things that you also wanted to change, then make them happen. But nobody can really control what another person wants to change about themselves or what they create. So negative feedback only takes you so far. So that's why I'm not really a fan of giving too much negative feedback, because I don't know if the person may have already thought that themselves, and I'll only say it if it's something I think that they may have been on the fence about, and I just want to say it because if somebody else says it and sways them, I want to at least be known as being honest. But that takes like a certain level of comfortability for me to have with you. But for the most part, I don't really believe in too much negative feedback, because that doesn't give you anything to build with in the future as much, unless those were your own thoughts. Whereas positive feedback, it's a lot more tangible, because negative feedback are things I wish that were there. And that's just the imagination. You don't know if those things were there, you would have felt better about it or not. But positive feedback is, I like things that were already there, and where can you go further with it? So even to put your negative feedback in a positive feedback way is more productive. So if you're getting bombarded with negative feedback and you're feeling that you shouldn't do something, definitely don't stray from that, because negative feedback is supposed to be taken with a grain of salt. And you may want to think about who your sources are, where you're getting feedback from, and if those are people that you want to continue to get feedback from, if they don't have much positive to add to, or outlets, or something that they're going to give you something to build upon back. So, I definitely think that all feedback's useful, but you're going to have your own feedback of your own projects. And the main thing is to get started on your next thing, because you're going to take everything that you learned from doing your last thing and build it on your next thing. When I was making music, I remember the first studio session I got booked to kind of just do a listening session of some of my beats, and I had a whole bunch of negative feedback because I had never even done a listening session in the studio, and it was a lot of negative feedback. And I was pretty, I was hurt. I had a negative reaction. I didn't actually lash out at the people, but I was like, I don't want to work with these people. They don't, And everything they told me was really like structural things. Kind of, once you get a little bit more experience, you see that they're more the basics. And I wasn't aware enough to pick up on those, and they had some feedback about it. And pretty much it was like I was just playing them loops of beats, and I have a bunch of cool loops and a couple things that I can drop, but it was none of them are really sequenced into like a build up, an intro, and then like, you know, the drop, and then the hook, and then the verse part. And then after that session, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see what they mean actually. And you know, you make your beat to tell a story, and it was great feedback. And that was one of the first times I put myself artistically on the line. So when I think if it's your first time ever doing something like that, expect a lot of feedback like that. And then you'll start to learn for what people would be looking for in an art form that they could critique you on. But had I stopped, I would have never even learned like 5% of all the stuff that I learned by keep going, keep making beats. Because all of these things we do, whether it's writing, whether it's dancing, whether it's acting or making beats or rapping, all of it, anybody can show improvement, because it's a matter of how do you spend your downtime. If you spend your downtime every day for 20 minutes talking about writing, and you do that for a year, you're gonna be at a different level than most people. Then if you do that for 5 years, you're going to be at a professional level, because you've put hours into it. And you also have to do the extra work of getting that feedback and putting some of it out. So when you do that, you create a relay between the people and your voice, and you start to get a balance and a rhythm. And if that's what makes you an artist. So anything that you want to do, I would say, and you have a way to put time into it, even if it's, say you did 10 hours for your first work, try to put 40 for your next work. With all the things you've learned, that should be easy, you know? I have a whole new way of plotting stories right now, that I'm trying to get all my stuff that I have in the pipeline finished, so that I can start this new method that I want to use, that I think is going to work really well with me. And that's going to take more hours, but those are going towards your collective hours of being better at your craft. And everybody's capable of doing that. It's just where do you want to spend your energy and your time, putting those 100 hours, putting those 10 hours, putting those 10,000 hours, you know? So that's that. Next question that we have is about dealing with pretentious collaborators. And this is in regards to, we had an actor who we wanted for a role, who was really talented. And, you know, we gave him, you know, we had our auditions, we had a callback. And with the callback, he was pretty much, you know, he was in the running to get it. And his response was, I don't do callbacks. Have you seen my resume? I'm da-da-da-da-da. And he had a lot of complaints about the role and about the whole situation. And he was giving one of our producers a hard time over the phone. And so he called me and he was telling me how should I handle this. So dealing with people like that, you're gonna come across them in all industries. And usually it's a sign that somebody hasn't gotten outside of their industry to see how the rest of the world works. Because what you build up in one thing doesn't make you a universal, you know, icon or universally knowledgeable of everything else in life. You know, just because you're a great actor doesn't mean that you get to tell the airplane pilot how to do a better job, you know? Just because you're a skilled actor doesn't mean that, you know, everything that we're doing about going to produce a film is bad because we want you to do a callback. We had 13 other people that had no problems with that. And what pretentious people like that end up doing is first off, you're a little difficult to work with. He has no clue that I was going to introduce him to 3 writers that could write somebody as talented as him a role. But we can write roles around anything, really. So no one person is that important to anything. To no studio session, to no beat. The main thing is the people that drive it to completion. And you want people that are going to push and help you to make it complete. And those type of people aren't people that are in that vibe or in that lane. So a lot of them, they write themselves off socially by just being difficult to work with. And that's, I mean, pretty much how we handled it was, I was like, well, hey, you know what? Because he's like that, I'm going to start thinking of some other options of people. I'm going to start, we had our casting online, but then it was like, all right, then I'll put some feelers out. I'll actually, talk to a couple people or, network out at some bars and around the area. I mean, this is Los Angeles. There's an abundance of actors. So I was like, okay, you know what? We'll play by his rules. He doesn't have to do a callback if he wants to record it or whatever. But we're also going to be looking for somebody who's going to be a lot more cooperative and easy to work with. Because if he's already acting like this, how's he going to be with us directing him, So we ended up not even needing him at the end because we found somebody who was a perfect fit, who had a natural demeanor and a lot of social know-how and could connect with us on the vision of the movie and directing. And we were going to essentially get the same role just by clicking better, the same productivity just by clicking better. So that guy never even got a call back, and who knows how many times that might have happened and what he probably has passed up. But he will continue to pass them up. And if I'm in a position where I need them, like for instance, I was like, all right, let's play by his rules. Play by the rules, I don't have any ego in this. So I can give you what you want because I'm in control of what I'm going to allow anyway. But as soon as we can get something else going, we'll be on our way too. So, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and you need as many allies as you can. And pretentious, stuck-up writers, musicians, yada yada yada, who can't just sit in a room and collab with another human being, are becoming far removed from the core of what art is supposed to do and how it's going to connect. And you can see that in their lives and their social structures, and probably at some point in their happiness. That's the way it is. Anyway, that's it for today. Make sure to like, subscribe. Any questions, send them to 24creative@gmail.com. We'll be back with some more soon. Oh, and we got exclusive Patreon content. If you guys want some more behind the scenes or some of the stuff that I'm working on, we'll have it up there as well. So stay tuned.